Think about the last person you lost. For a while, your brain did something strange. You knew they were gone, but you still expected them. You heard the sentence they would have said. You reached for the phone before remembering there would be no answer. You walked into a room and felt, for half a second, that they should still be there. Modern people call that grief. Ancient people may have called it the beginning of another world. And this is not rare. Researchers who study bereavement call these sensory and quasi-sensory experiences of the deceased. In one survey of 310 older adults whose spouse had died 6 to 10 months earlier, 42% reported some kind of experience of the deceased, seeing them, hearing them, sensing their presence, feeling that the relationship was still somehow active. That number matters because it means the doorway to the sacred may not begin with an unusual brain. It may begin with an ordinary brain under the pressure of loss. Because long before churches, temples, scriptures, priests, commandments, or gods with names, humans had one problem every other idea grew around. The body stops before the relationship stops. The body is gone, but the person is still active inside the mind. And that may be where religion began. Not with a king in the sky, not with a holy book, not with a doctrine, with a dead person who did not feel fully dead. Now put that brain inside a cave 100,000 years ago. They placed a dead body in the ground. Not just moved it away. Not just abandoned it. Placed it. The cave is Kafzich, in what is now Israel. Much later, archaeologists found early modern human remains there, from as many as 15 individuals. And near some of the bones, they found red ochre and ochre-stained stone tools. Red ochre is the detail that changes the scene. It is not food. It is not shelter. It is not a weapon. It is color, and color is unnecessary unless something has started to mean more than itself. Imagine finding that after 100,000 years. Not a written prayer, not a temple wall, not a god's name. Just bones, pigment, tools, and the outline of a human decision. That does not prove those humans believed in heaven, souls, or an afterlife. Archaeology cannot read minds. And burial can mean grief, hygiene, fear, respect, status, or ritual. But it does show something important. The body was not treated like ordinary matter. It was handled as if it still belonged to a person. And once that happens, the entire story of religion becomes easier to understand. Your brain is not built to see people as meat. It sees minds. It tracks what someone wants, what they know, what they are hiding, what they remember, what they would do next. That ability is why humans can cooperate, teach, gossip, lie, forgive, and love. But it creates one of the strangest problems in human life. When the body dies, the mind model does not instantly shut off. You still know the person. You still predict them. You still hear them in dreams. You still feel their judgment when you are about to do something they would have hated. Now remove hospitals, biology textbooks, brain scans, and the modern language of grief. Someone dies. Then they visit you in a dream. Their voice returns at night. Their grave becomes a place where people lower their voices. Their memory still changes what the group is allowed to do. From the outside, that can look like superstition. From the inside, it may have felt like evidence. The person was not nowhere. They were somewhere you could not touch. And the dead were only the first step. The same brain that keeps dead people socially alive is also always searching for hidden agents. Who did this? Who is angry? Who is watching? Who remembers? Who needs to be thanked? Who needs to be feared? That system is useful because the safer mistake is often to assume a mind is there. If the grass moves, maybe it is only wind. But if it is a predator, the person who assumes wind may not survive. So the brain becomes sensitive to intention. Thunder can feel like anger. Sickness can feel like punishment. A lucky hunt can feel like blessing. A strange coincidence can feel like a message. This is not ancient people failing science. This is a social brain living in a dangerous world, using the same tool on everything. It finds minds in faces. Then it finds minds in animals. Then it finds minds in storms, rivers, mountains, dreams, and death. Cognitive scientists like Pascal Boyer have argued that religious ideas do not need a special religion box in the brain. They use ordinary mental machinery, memory, agency, social reasoning, moral judgment, and imagination. And the most memorable religious ideas are often not completely impossible. They are almost normal, with one rule broken. A spirit is a person, but without a normal body. An ancestor is dead, but still able to know. A sacred animal is an animal, but more than meat. A holy place is a place, but more than dirt, stone, water, or trees. That is why these ideas stick. They are strange enough to feel powerful, but familiar enough for the brain to handle. Before religion became organized, this may have been what the sacred world felt like. Not one all-powerful creator, not a formal theology, not one official book, not a clean list of doctrines, a crowded world. Ancestors near the camp, spirits in animals, rivers that could be offended, storms that could be warning, places that remembered what happened there. The old anthropological word for this is animism. Edward Burnett Tyler made the term famous in the 19th century, and modern scholars do not accept his old evolutionary ladder in a simple way. But the basic image still matters. Before religion was a system, it may have been a way of living in a world that did not feel empty. Then, the sacred got bigger because humans got bigger. Not physically, socially. People started gathering in larger numbers. Villages grew, food had to be stored, land had to be defended, and strangers had to cooperate without already knowing each other's entire family history. And right at this point, one of the strangest archaeological sites on Earth appears. Gobekli Tepe. More than 11,000 years ago, in southeastern Turkey, people built monumental stone structures with T-shaped pillars and carved wild animals. UNESCO describes the site as pre-pottery Neolithic, built by hunter-gatherer groups and probably connected with public rituals, likely of a funerary nature. That should bother the simple version of history. The simple version says humans first became farmers, then built villages, then built cities, and only after all that did they have time for temples. But Gobekli Tepe makes the order messier. The temple may have come before the city. Before the classic city-temple world, people were already gathering around symbolic spaces that took enormous effort to build. So maybe ritual was not just a decoration added after civilization. Maybe ritual helped pull people together before civilization fully arrived. Maybe belief did not wait for the city. Maybe belief helped build the kind of cooperation that made cities possible. We do not know the exact answer, and the site is still debated, but we can see the direction. The sacred moved from the grave to the gathering place, from private grief to public ritual, from memory to monument. The invisible became something a whole group could walk into together. Now imagine an early market. You are standing in a crowd of people you do not know. Someone takes your grain, someone weighs your goods, someone promises to repay you later, and someone makes a decision no one in your family will ever witness. In a tiny band, morality is personal. Everybody knows who shared meat, who lied, who helped during hunger, and who disappeared when danger came. But a growing society breaks that system. Cities need trust between strangers. Armies need coordination across distance. Markets need rules when no relative is watching. This is where the big gods theory enters. Researchers such as Ara Norenzayan and Joseph Henrich have argued that large societies may have been helped by religions with powerful moralizing gods. Gods who watch behavior, care about right and wrong, punish cheaters, and reward loyalty. The theory is debated, and it does not explain every religion. But the pattern is hard to ignore. As the human group got larger, the watcher often got larger too. The ancestor sees the family, the spirit sees the forest, the god sees the city, the law becomes holy, morality moves into the sky. This is when religion becomes more than a way to explain death. It becomes a social technology. It tells people what is pure, what is forbidden, what must be protected, what must be sacrificed, who belongs, and who has broken the invisible rule. At small scale, religion can make the world feel alive. At large scale, religion can make society feel watched. And both solve real human problems. The dead have to remain somehow. The group has to hold together. The stranger has to become trustworthy. The suffering has to mean something. The ordinary object has to become more than an object. This is still happening around you. A flag is cloth until someone burns it. A wedding ring is metal until someone throws it away. A childhood photo is paper until the person in it is gone. A grave is dirt until it has a name on it. A book is paper and ink until a community decides it cannot be touched like any other book. Humans do not live in the material world alone. We live in the meaning world too. We can touch matter and feel memory. We can point to a place and say, "This is where it happened." We can point to a name and say, "This must not be forgotten." We can point to a rule and say, "This comes from beyond us." And that ability did not disappear when modern people started leaving traditional religion. In many societies, fewer people identify with old institutions. They stop attending, reject doctrines, and distrust religious authority. But the sacred impulse does not simply vanish. It migrates. People still make rituals. People still keep relics. People still create saints and villains. People still tell origin stories. People still protect symbols. People still look for invisible forces behind visible events. People still divide the world into pure and corrupt. People still ask what is worth suffering for. Not every ideology, fandom, nation, movement, or lifestyle is literally a religion. That would make the word too loose. But the old machinery is visible everywhere. The need for belonging. The need for witnesses. The need for moral order. The need for the dead to remain. The need for life to mean more than survival. So maybe the first religion was not about God in the way most people use that word today. Maybe God came later. Maybe temples came later. Maybe scriptures, commandments, heavens, hells, priests, and empires came later. Before all of that, there may have been one unbearable contradiction. The body is here. The person is gone. But the person is not gone. The invisible person remains. And if you think that ancient contradiction disappeared, Look at what you do when someone you love dies. You save the voicemail. You keep the shirt. You visit the grave. You say their name when no one is there to answer. You talk to them in your head. You let an invisible person change your behavior in the visible world. That is not a weakness. It is one of the oldest human instincts we have. You do not leave them like an object. You make a place. You keep a sign. You return. You remember. And from that small refusal, an enormous world can grow. Burials become ancestors. Ancestors become spirits. Spirits fill the landscape. Ritual gathers the group. Monuments hold the ritual. Cities make the watcher bigger. Gods make morality cosmic. And modern humans, even when they leave the old temples, keep building new ways to answer the same ancient questions. Where did they go? Who is watching? What do we owe? What is sacred? And why does the visible world never feel like all there is?